Hello, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and welcome back to Journeys in Fandom.
Welcome to the Plague Show, because I'm ill.
You've got
and
Christmas
have been
flu.
for like 8 days.
8 days?
Yeah.
Wow, that's not good, is it?
Yeah, it's just not ideal. Christmas Day was a write-off, and Boxing Day I sniffed some turkey.
Was it a live turkey?
No!
Is that
my Christmas dinner was just go to, I feel like I'm dying.
Nothing worth being ill when you're on holiday, but being ill when at Christmas, I suppose, it's not good, is it?
And like proper flu when you just go, no, the days are just a write-off. It's just horrific. On the plus side, before I got the plague, I did manage to complete Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, right.
It only took 100 hours for my first playthrough.
Wow.
But I got there. I persevered. I did it.
That's good. I just started today. Continued. What's it called? The Hogwarts thing on PlayStation. The Hogwarts Legacy. I realised I hadn't played it since February, so it's like, ooh, yes, I better finish this game.
Yes, for sure. Shall we talk about the news?
Yes, before we jump onto the Doctor Who, let's have the news. So, what's happened since we last spoke? The Superman trailer was out last week.
Yes.
What do you think? Because you're a bigger Superman fan aficionado than I am. I'm interested. I've got my views.
I'm looking forward to it. And I think the Superman is always a difficult choice, because which Superman do you go with? Do you go with the indestructible beacon of hope? Do you go with like the dark and brooding version that doesn't work? Or do you do something completely different? And I think James Gunn is trying to do something a bit different. Because the fact that the trailer opens with Superman just crashing into the ground, bleeding heavily, you go, well, that means something's a threat, because most things can't do that to him.
Correct, yeah.
So I think Crypto is the best boy. Shut up. Shut up. Crypto's great.
No, that's what took me out of it within the first 5 seconds when the dog turned up, and it's like, I know who Crypto is, and I think it's lame. It's just...
He is best boy.
But it's just lame, and that's what... that immediately took me out of it when I watched that trailer. I was like, oh, Superman. Oh, there's the dog. Right, it's going to be like that, is it?
Because didn't I see somewhere the storyline is basically meant to be Superman's already established. He is the hero that won't do any of the bad things, whereas the other heroes are a bit kind of punch first, break bones, and maybe ask a question later.
I heard it was...
He's a bit like old school.
I heard it was Kingdom Come, but in reverse. So the established superheroes have all gone a bit, not rogue, but a bit like
brutal.
Yeah, and Superman's kind of stuck in the middle between them all somehow. I don't know how. And that's kind of why you've... To be honest, it looked good, but it worries me. It worries me because of the dog. I think that's lame. It worries me that it seems to be very character heavy, as if they're trying to introduce yet another cinematic universe. So you've got all those extra heroes kind of in a Superman story. And for me, Superman should just be Superman on his own against somebody. But we've got Guy Gardner, you've got Hawkgirl, you've got 2 of them I didn't even know, because I'm not really a big that kind of stuff.
You've got Mr. Terrific.
That's
there.
It, yeah, and there was a robot in there as well. And hang on, I've got the website because I was looking at it.
You've got what's his face? Molecule Man or whatever.
Mephisto, something or other.
Yeah, Metamorpho. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's characters that, to be fair, I don't really know, and it just seems like, ooh. And then you got Lex Luthor to top it all off.
Yeah.
And it's like,
and Ultraman as well.
Yeah, it feels a lot of characters for one film, and you've got to reintroduce Superman. I suppose that's my stupid lame dog aside. that worries me, that they're trying to introduce a lot in a film that should just be on its own, like as a reintroduction of Superman himself, not every other character in the universe in one go.
Well, we know it's not an origin story because, let's
No,
face
thank
it,
God. I suppose that's a plus. That's a plus. It's not the
everyone can
origin
recite
story.
Superman's origin from memory.
Yeah.
What do you think to Guy Gardner's hair?
Well, it's comic book accurate. Yes, it does look looks like
Admittedly,
Uncle
some of the
Fester.
comic artists,
It looks like
did
Uncle
Rafe
Fester
eyebrows.
from the Addams Family films, which loads of people have said. It's Nathan Fillion, so he will play that really well. But again, I don't know. Seems like there's a lot of characters to introduce in a very short space of time. And I suppose the big one for me is, and we've talked about it before, he doesn't look like Superman. He looks like Henry Cavill was Superman. He was big, he was tall. That guy looks Corin Sweat. Give him his dues. His Clark Kent Superman difference is really good. He looks really good as Clark Kent, I thought, in that shot you got of him. But he seems quite short. In that crowd scene when they're all throwing stuff at him, he seems to be shorter than people in the crowd.
I think that's on purpose.
Well, yeah, I prefer
Because
Superman to be...
we know that he is 2 inches taller than Cavill and is actually the right height for Superman.
Yes, we did that.
Yes, because we
analysis,
did how tall, yeah, because he's 6'3", isn't he? As the right size for Superman.
Okay, I stand corrected. Yeah, I forgot about that. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I think I'm just Henry Cavill pro.
Yeah, I think lots of the shots have been specifically chosen for that trailer to invoke a reaction. And I don't think half of it's even going to be in the movie.
Well, that's the thing with trailers, isn't it? It's there. I suppose the thing is, the concern is James Gunn, and he's general. He's very good at writing ensemble misfit characters, but is he good at writing serious single characters? We don't know. Yeah. This is the first time he's really done it.
It's going to be a test because literally the whole back of the DCU is on it. Yeah, everything rides on this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And they'll have to do something else.
Because I read today they push back Patterson's Batman now till 2027, I think it was. So off the back of the immense positivity of Penguin TV series, they're now pushing back that, which I could probably understand. It's like it's a bit of a hangover from the previous era, but they've kept it, which we always thought was a bit bizarre when they created another Batman in this other universe. But it seems like they were onto something with Penguin. Ooh, why don't we fast track Batman 2? No, let's just put it back. But anyway, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows?
So Superman, I don't know. It's the dog. It's lame.
I love the dog. I'm here for the dog. Crypto's my boy.
But it's James Gunn, isn't it? Because he likes to do quirky things with animals and like. I suppose if James Gunn can get Rocket Raccoon over, then maybe he's going to get Crypto Super Dog over and make it work.
Crypto's already over. Everyone loves Crypto. You're the exception.
Did you see the memes though of the same shot, but him calling a cat and he's going, pss, 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 and then the next thing is just like a skeleton lying in the snow because the cat's not coming.
Yeah, where a doggo will be there and dog's got you.
I don't know.
It'll be fine. When's it out? July? Is it July?
Is it? Yeah, it's next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So will wait.
You'll blink, you'll miss it. Yeah.
Yeah. It'll turn around quick.
What else has been on recently? We had the War of the Rohirrim.
Yeah.
The animated Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Come on.
To be fair, I think it was just a cash grab because didn't New Line have to release something? Otherwise they'd lose the rights next year to Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
So they had to do something.
Yes,
so they pushed it out very quickly. I think for me, they did it about a character that didn't exist, and that's what annoyed me. And they had so many options they could have chosen across so many different things, but they decided to do something written about a character they just made up. Okay, she was a reference. Didn't even have a name in the books, and they just fitted her into a storyline and wove a whole story around a character that didn't exist. They could have just done something normal, but they chose not to do that, and it annoyed me. And I think that's what it got me. The whole concept of that whole story didn't exist because they made it up, basically. to fit around that character.
I enjoyed it.
To be fair, it was all right. Don't get me wrong. It's better than Rings of Power, 100 times better. I'll give them the dues. It was nice to see
I think
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think the animation, IMAX did it no favors.
It wasn't the greatest animation. It was right in parts, but other parts it was like, ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the animation was a choice because like anything that was like out of distance was very blocky, whereas the close-up stuff was fine. I thought the fact that by the end of it she'd gone full anime protagonist just had me giggling.
Yeah.
I went, yeah, I'm here for this. But
yeah.
I think I was the audience because I was always going to go in and go, I'm going to enjoy this. It's just going to be good because I want to enjoy it. Because it survived the cinema for a whole 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's going to be on streaming.
It's on streaming now. 27th it came out.
Yeah.
Which is,
I
again,
thought it was
bizarre. I just think with all the stuff they could have done something normal, but they had to do that whole thing, and you could argue they stepped into the whole girl boss thing that Hollywood's really kind of at the tail end of nowadays, but still hanging around. They could have just done a story that actually Tolkien had written, but they didn't. But I labour the point.
What else we had? Anything else happen?
We
recently?
had the pre-Christmas Doctor Who rage. Did you see that?
No.
About the remastered, and I just can't remember the name of the story.
Oh, that.
The War Games. I should know that. The remastered War Games.
Where he picks his face.
And yeah, there was the bit where Troughton picks his face, and this time you get to see Capaldi, Tennant.
Yeah, because his full shots were like,
he's too old. He's too skinny.
Really? Yeah,
too young, and that was Whittaker, which most people were raging about. And then Matt Smith. Oh no, that will never do. So that was interesting. You got the full regeneration of him, which was actually taken, I hadn't realised till today, from a fan video. So they must have bought the rights to it, used it, whatever, and it was taken from a fan video that was on YouTube of him changing to Pertwee in the TARDIS, which was all right. That was all right because it's been done. And then there was the hint that the War Chief was actually the Master. That was the other thing people were raging about. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the clips when he's introduced the theme of the Master with the from Utopia plays when he enters, and it plays again a bit later on, and then there's the hint that when the War Chief, the final scene when he goes, he's regenerating, so it's hinted that he regenerates into Delgado, and that's it. It's like George Lucas continuously tweaking with the knobs, changing things just because you can. Just leave it alone. I like the War Chief. I always thought he was quite a cool Time Lord on his own. He doesn't need to be the Master.
Yeah, dear BBC, just leave it alone.
But the colour, the remastered colour, and apparently they got it down from 4 hours to an hour and a half edit. Cut out loads of stuff. So I haven't. It was on iPlayer, so I need to actually watch it. But I caught the scenes of it. I probably end up buying it because if it looked really nice, what they've done to it, so you can't fault them for that.
Yeah. And then we get to talk about
why we're here, folks. The Christmas episode 2024. It was Christmassy, wasn't it?
Shut up.
It had a Christmas tree in it. There was New Year's Eve. There was snow. I don't know. There was religious symbology. I thought it was good. It was right up your alley for Christmas related paraphernalia compared to last year, which didn't have any, and you complained about that last year.
I hated it. So dear listeners and viewers, so I watched this episode literally an hour ago. I texted to the end of it and simply just said, what the fuck was that? Just, what the hell? I was just bored and I just didn't care. And the whole... I think I sat there and just thought to myself, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm watching this. It just, when you just go, I just don't care. And even like the little montage of, you've got to do it the long way around for this whole bit about getting the code. You go, really? We're doing that, are we? So we're just going to make up a code out of nowhere just to do the code thing. And where's the code exist from? It doesn't.
But that's the whole point of it. The
But
bootstrap paradox.
I just hated it.
This one was an interesting one. It was one of those ones that on the day when I watched it, I quite liked it. But since I've slept on it, my brain it's like Christmas Day, brain's kind of turned off. So my brain was, by whatever time it was, I watched it a bit later than 5, it turned off for the day. I thought I quite enjoyed it. And then the brain turned back on the following day. And I kind of sat there and went, and then it's like the plot holes all started to appear in front of my eyes. So you can't avoid them, and you're just trying to avoid the plot holes. And you just think, as long as I just turned my brain off, it was fine. But the moment you start thinking about it, you just go, oh dear. And that was written by Stephen Moffat. The person who wrote Blink wrote that.
And the person who wrote A Christmas Carol was also the same man.
Yeah. I think people give Moffat too much bit of the doubt. He wrote an atrocious one of those seasons with Matt Smith where he got so confused and it was just pointless. But yeah, it wasn't good Moffat at all. For me, well, there was 3 stories in that, and if they just focused on one of the 3, it would have probably made more sense. So you had the concept of the briefcase thing. That was one storyline. You had Joy and her storyline, and then you had the hotel receptionist Annette storyline. So you had 3 storylines running in parallel. And to be honest, I thought the whole thing with Annette in the receptionist was great. I thought it was a really nice little story. If they did a whole hour of that where they spliced it all in and made it just as she was more of a companion than Joy was, if you're in the whole companion mode, because she had more screen time. But they kind of did it with ironically with James Corden, didn't they? The Lodger, when 11 had to stay on Earth doing something. I can't remember what it was. So Moffat's done it before, and I just thought that I couldn't care less for Joy in her storyline, to be honest. I thought the briefcase thing was very clever, but I didn't really go anywhere with it. It was like, oh, okay. I can't even remember how they stopped that thing from exploding, but it didn't. But the whole concept of the sentient briefcase was really clever. Didn't go anywhere. And then 3 storylines that could have just been one if they just decided which one they wanted. Time Hotel was clever. I thought that was good. Anyway, sorry. Yes, go on.
Question for you. Do you think Moffat wanted a briefcase beaten by a T-Rex before or after he wrote the episode?
Yes. Exactly like Dinosaurs in London, that one where he said, I want a dinosaur in London, and he wrote something around it. I'm pretty confident he wrote it around the dinosaur. Yeah. And also not forgetting the shoehorned, really not subtle dig at the Tories and COVID, which he's admitted he wanted to quote stick it to the Tories, but it felt out of place. It didn't fit the story at all. If it had been a subtle story about, I don't know, political malpractice or something like that referenced it, but in a very subtle way that Doctor Who used to do in the old days, and in the old days of New Who, it's very subtle, but you get the message. But that one was like, my mum died in COVID. Whoa. And they were all drinking and having parties. Whoa, just like not the non-subtle.
I found it quite crass because my gran did die during COVID for the exact same reasons.
It was quite jarring.
I just went, you're doing this for shock and awe points and you're not scoring them, mate. I just don't care.
It should have been more subtle, and they could have done it subtle with the arms people, and they could have done something easily, done it along those lines, but it just kind of like all of a sudden she just blurted it out and didn't feel natural. It just felt like, right, we're going to say this. Because would you even say that as well in that way? Probably not. So, yeah, it just felt like point scoring for point scoring's sake.
Yeah.
And also, don't get me wrong, it's a bit too late now. It's a bit like that point scoring, the people who did it are no longer in power. So who you can scoring points against? There's nobody there. It's kind of like if they'd done that story 2 years ago, obviously Doctor Who was on 2 years ago, but you know what I mean, it might have been a bit more well received, but it just felt like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing was just it. I don't want to say it's crap, but it just did nothing for me.
I think,
And I sat there and thought to myself, it's a Christmas episode. I'm going to turn my brain off, and it's going to be nice and good fun. And it wasn't good fun. And I think this is a problem. It existed, and I went, I'm not interested in anything that's happening. And I think if I wasn't recording this with you, I would have probably got 20 minutes in and just gone, I'm bored with this. I'm just not. It's not for me. And this is not the first Christmas episode I've had this with, and especially like the Moffat era ones, mentioning like Christmas Carol and stuff. You go, they're just write a good story. That's all I want you to do. Is that too much to ask?
yeah,
it can be standalone. You haven't got to have an established companion. Just a one-off good story. And yes, I'll probably look back with rose-tinted spectacles and just go, yeah, that such and such was good. But you go, well, actually, I know we've done this before. We've looked back at some of the old Christmas specials and gone, are any of them actually any good?
No, I think that's it. People look back and think, oh, Christmas Doctor Who was great. Well, actually, some of them were they weren't, when you actually start to unpick them, weren't that exciting. They were just riding the wave of popularity. And it just kind of worked. But yeah, some of the Matt Smith's ones were just like, oof.
Yeah. It's like Titanic, or whatever it's called, Voyage of the Damned. That still is, it just seems like a sensible episode because it's just a good camp romp for an hour. And then you go, yeah, sweet, I'll do. That's all I want. I don't want bloody shoehorned in Tory bashing, and I don't want bloody, you've got to go the long way around to do a code that you just know because you know it, because you made up the code.
That was the bootstrap paradox, though. That was quite clever. But again,
yeah, but
I'm letting him off for that one because I thought it was quite cool.
It just, I went, when's this going to go anywhere? Yes, I know it's a long way around, and it's taking a long time to get there. And I think I know this is the point, but I went, I just don't care for it. I just don't want it. I just want it to be fun. Just give me brain dead camp nonsense. That's all I want.
The concept of the time hotel could have been quite interesting because they had quite a lot of budget there, and they could have done some nice little romp across different things, different zones, and it would have kind of worked quite well. But they chose not to do that, and it was just kind of like it was another story that was there but was never really fleshed out. It's a shame, because I think as well what I'm drawn with is when Ncuti Gatwa does high energy, he's very good at it, and I look back on it, and a bit like last Christmas, he drew me in with his performance because he was quite animated and he was quite excited, and it was quite, he's a likable character, and that's what kind of drew me in. But yeah, again, once you start picking through the holes in the plot, it's like, actually, maybe not. There's no substance to it. It's all very surface. It's on the surface.
Yeah. I think my rating was just, I was bored throughout. I was not the audience for this show. And like I said, if I wasn't watching it for watching it, I would have turned it off.
Yeah, it's an interesting. There were decisions made in it that you just think, why? It's like, I'm reading the name. It's got Nicola Coughlan, the companion. She wasn't the companion because she wasn't in it for half of the episode. And when she was in it, she was either under the influence of the briefcase, or she was the briefcase. That was it. For me, she wasn't. She was just another character. No, she didn't do anything. She was just another. She was kind of announced as the special one-off companion, but she wasn't a companion. She was just another character in that film. And
Matey boy, the chap who was it Terry or Jeff
he had more
he was
lines.
far more a companion.
Yeah, and the woman, the Annette, she was far more. Sorry, I keep saying Annette. Anita. I keep saying it wrong. She had far more to do in that whole thing than she did, and it was odd. And like I said, I still don't really understand how they stopped that thing from exploding. It was the fact that she swallowed it and then took it away. Was that it?
Yeah, and it's like when the dinosaur swallows it and it's removed from her wrist. You go, well, everyone else died within 5 seconds. And he goes, oh yeah, I broke the connection. Cool. So what could everyone else? I think it's just loose threads that you just go, come on, set a set of rules and stick to them.
Yeah, because I was how did she swallow it, and then did they all fly off together because they're all kind of downloaded into it, or why?
And how'd they all fly off together?
Who knows? And also the bit that really annoyed me at the end was the fact that it had Bethlehem 0001. Well, that's wrong, isn't it? It should have been. It's not 1, because when a kid is born, they're not 1 until they're 1 year old. You call them an 18-month-year-old or a 20-month-year-old. So it would be 001 because Jesus was born, but it's not a year since he was born. It would be 0. It would be 0. No. Even, but it's more semantics because they didn't call it that until whenever it was in the future when they were, I don't know, translating the Bible. It's like the Catholic Church worked it out, I think. AD and BC wasn't a thing when Jesus was born, because how can you call it before Christ when Christianity hadn't taken over the world yet?
Yeah, we chicken down, guys, so it's happening, guys. It's happening tomorrow. What's going on?
But it wouldn't be 1. It would be like plus 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's what really. If it just put Bethlehem and left it like that, but 00001, didn't know. That was quite.
Yeah.
I'll give it the due. It was quite cute that they made it Christmassy, but that means now you do realise Jesus is now canon in the Doctor Who universe. Also, there was 3 things I didn't spot. Speaking of making things canon, just to blow your mind, I spotted one of them. Did you spot the Mr. Ben reference when they first entered the hotel? There was like a thing on the wall. I think it was a poster or something, and it was Mr. Ben something or other, and it was the top hat.
Yeah.
There was also I didn't get it. The name of the bar where there was that the switcheroo death was the surname of the time traveler's husband in the Time Traveler's Wife film, Deschambre or something. I can't remember what it was. Don't know. Right. And also one of the doors when he's walking around the things was a Hobbit door. So Gandalf is now canon in the Doctor Who universe.
Christ.
Gandalf, Jesus, and Mr. Ben.
That's a child watch.
So
just a situation comedy. Gandalf, Jesus, and Mr. Ben. I'm fully on board with it.
I suppose we got the trailer for season 2, which apparently is coming sooner than we think. Apparently, he said on a random interview. So I'm thinking possibly before Easter this time. Mainly because I think they want to get it out there to probably progress the negotiations, if there are any left, about what's going on for the rest of it. I think they won't wait.
Yep.
I think they'll get it out as early as they can to try and just do anything.
Is Super going to be a season 3? Who knows?
Well, the ratings were in at 4.11 million for Christmas Day, which was down from last year's one was 7.49, and the last episode of the last series was 3.69. So really, it's had a bit of a blip, but not by much. When you consider Gavin and Stacey was pulling in 12, 16 million. Wallace and Gromit was the same, in over 10 million. And it was directly before Wallace and Gromit as well. So you think the lead into it should have had a bump. It probably did have a bump. It had a little bit of a bump, but not massive, not 7 million like last year.
Because I know we've always said that we're never going to get the heady numbers of like 14 million from the old days. But then we've just said Gavin and Stacey were pulling in those numbers, whilst Grumpier was pulling in those numbers. So actually, you can pull those numbers.
Yeah, you can do it. If you want to get it, you'll get it. And those are the two biggest things over the Christmas period, besides I think King's speech was in there. But they were the two massive shows. And Wallace and Gromit was directly after it. So you can't say, because they moved it, didn't it? It was earlier. Because last year it was about 7 o'clock, wasn't it? It was later last year. So they stuck it on before Wallace and Gromit, probably to try and get that connection in. So you watch one and the other. Because if they put it on after, you might have got a different, it wouldn't have been the same. But it didn't get the bump, I don't think.
No.
I don't
Again,
think.
it's just, I just want to enjoy it, and I'm just not.
I don't think we're going to get, I think this will be the last series. I really can't see them renewing it in the shape it is in at the moment. It looks good. The trailer for the next series looks good. She looks like a decent enough companion, but it's not pulling the numbers, is it, really?
No.
And
but
it's
like
such a shame.
We said before, are numbers still relevant?
Yeah.
Is all the background stuff like the draw of Disney Plus and the merch and all this bits and pieces? Are they doing the lifting that?
And
is it still a cash cow?
Is it what? Yeah, because we don't know, and you only surmise. Is it what the BBC want? Are they looking for a certain demographic, and they getting the numbers in? We don't see the breakdown of the demos like you do in the States, so you don't know what bracket the BBC are interested in these days. Are they interested in the likes of you and me, or are they interested in, I don't know, 18 to 24-year-olds, for instance? Maybe they are. Maybe they're getting that pull in that demographic.
I think not to be crass, but bored, angry white men of over 40 are probably not the target demographic.
Well, I think we talked about loads of times. A lot of that demographic have walked already. They walked years ago when the whole Whittaker era kind of kicked off, and then they never come back. And that's, you can see that. So I don't know. I can't see them getting a renewal. I just can't.
Because hasn't season 3 been partly shot or partly written, or?
I think it's been written. It's not been shot because he's been doing theatre. So Shooty's been out. Now, there was a rumour floating around somewhere, and I can't remember where I read it, that he wants to leave because he's got other opportunities. So he's been sat waiting for like a genuine, are we filming it, are we not filming it? But he can't wait forever kind of thing. So it could be that he regenerates at the end of this new series, and they leave it open and don't put a new person in that place. Who knows? Leave it as like a regeneration to someone else, and then the thing is, it's weird. Can you imagine a situation where Doctor Who is no longer on TV? It's a weird thing. You can say, but would the BBC do it?
Well, the BBC have done it.
Yeah, but it's kind of a different. Again, it's a totally different. It's a weird kind of. We're in a totally different world, aren't we? Where it's not even funded by the BBC really anymore, is it? If Disney pull the plug and say we're not doing anymore, that leaves them without the money, and it goes back to the BBC to fund it. So the level of production goes down. But then you look at the stuff that Russell and that Bad Wolf thing have put into it, building that massive studio internal thing and all the stuff. Well, obviously it's not their money, but they've pinned a lot of stuff on it. They've got the spin-off, which is coming, isn't it? When's that? That might dictate who is actually on. When's that spin-off coming out? But who don't say the thing, land and the sea, not river and the sea. Always say it wrong. When's that coming out? Because that might dictate when the new series is coming. When's it released? No, we don't know, but it's obviously wrapped. Yeah, but there's all this talk about the Hooniverse and all that stuff they were supposed to be doing for it. They've done nothing except for that one spin-off.
I think the problem is, did we ever need it? Because let's face it, you go back a few years, you had Who, Sarah Jane, Torchwood.
Yeah.
You had all of the audio, all the Big Finish stuff surrounding it.
Yep. Animation
So you
stuff they
had,
did.
you had that Hooniverse before they tried to make it into a thing.
Yeah.
And is it a case of, are you trying to flog a dead horse when actually you've kind of done what you needed to do but years ago? Does it need another 20-year gap?
Yeah, and the multiverse thing worked without it being a multiverse. But when a multiverse wasn't a thing, like the Marvel multiverse, all that stuff, it just worked. It was Torchwood, it was Sarah Jane, it was Doctor Who. They all kind of complemented each other. They all self-referenced each other.
Yeah, and every so often the Doctor just went, hello.
Yeah, they just crossed over every so often, and it just worked, and it was subtle. I think maybe they thought it would the second coming of RTD would make it really popular again, and they banked a lot on it, and it's not paid off.
Well, I think the 60th hurt it.
Yeah, but that's it. Everyone was expecting it to come in at this level with Tennant, with Russell, and then it came in, and it was like, ooh, this is not what we remember it like. It was like, and then
I think that's the problem. That expectation and that second coming of RTD and Tennant returning, you could have had the perfect TV show where there was no blip of any way, shape, or form, and people would still have been disappointed. It could have been actually the perfect television event, but yet we would have still sat here and gone, that weren't great, guys. Because the expectation was so high that you would never get anywhere near it.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about it before. The 50th was, to be honest, it was perfect for what it needed to be. It worked. It was brilliant. It was done. It was done in the confines of what we've seen in the past. So we were expecting something at that level, and they tried to subvert it a little bit and play down some of the anniversary stuff, and then there was all the other stuff they were chucking in, and it just didn't land. And we said it before, to be honest, I look back at it now, and I think at the time I said, oh no, should have bringing in David Tennant was quite clever. It was different. It kind of needed to happen, but actually just bringing in Ncuti, doing it from scratch would probably have got the same result, and actually may have been better because you weren't expecting expectations because you didn't know what to expect. But was the show already? Well, the show was already failing before the 60th.
Yeah,
big style.
Yeah,
and
so it had to resurrect Tennant to try and bring back the likes of Us.
But it didn't work.
And we went, it just wasn't for us.
No, and there's lots of things. You could do a whole podcast just on what might have been with that and how it would have been different if they'd done it a different way. There's lots of things to think about. Go, actually, if they'd done it differently, what would it be like today? But then the last series, Ncuti's last series, I enjoyed it. I didn't like the start of it, and then suddenly it got better. But I don't know. There's lots of reasons why that hasn't done very well. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was
Space
good.
Babies.
Yeah, Space Babies. Still, what's a singy person, and then there was kind of the ambulance one, and then everything else from that point started getting better and better. It was just those first 3 episodes were a bit ugh, and then it found its feet and it was fine. 73 yards notwithstanding.
But then again, that's like 73 yards. Everyone critically acclaims it as the best thing since sliced bread. And you're going, but there was an old woman doing bloody throwing shapes in the background,
and it was just too ambiguous. But then I don't know. Yeah, so Christmas was all right if you turn your brain off. That's my philosophy. It was pointless stuff, but there was definitely 3 stories there instead of 1.
Yeah. Whereas I just thought it was pointless.
But like I said, it had a Christmas tree.
It did. Cool. But it didn't blow up, did it?
No, to be fair, it
Where's my
didn't blow
exploding
up.
baubles? Where's my exploding baubles?
Yeah, they could have rehashed any of that, but no, they didn't do that.
No. Well,
There we go. Finished in record time today. Nothing else really to talk about, is there?
yeah. Well, I think that sums it up. Like, if I get a proper hate boner for something, I can go for a full hour and not even take a breath.
Hate boner.
Yeah, the
I've never
crow
heard that
mentioning their
phrase
name.
before.
Yeah, but I was just so bleh, that you go, yeah, it existed, it happened, I watched it, I didn't like it. Move on.
Never mind. Never mind. We can but hope for the next one. Oh, there was a... While we're talking about boners, I don't know why. He's wearing a kilt in the first episode. That is going to enrage so many people.
Oh God.
Yeah, I saw there's another trailer after the Doctor Who Unleashed thing where he's looking, the new companion's another doctor, Alan Martha, I think. And he's walking around a hospital and it's not a fashionable kilt. It's not like a practical kilt. It's a fashion kilt. So it's a man in a skirt, and lots of people have been raging, saying they're going to put a man in a skirt. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And the right wing of YouTube is just going to go.
Yeah. Oh, before we forget, any news on LFCC gate?
Oh, yes. I got a reply from them, and they would not give me a refund. It was a polite email, but it basically said, "Oh, we spoke to the staff on site, and there were plenty of opportunities for you to have got a photo shoot. Therefore, we're not going to get a refund." So I utilized AI, which I can highly recommend in these situations, and asked it to write a positive, but I said, "Oh, you train it." So you'd say, pretend you are a legal expert, and this is the letter I'd like you to write. This is the information, and I fed it what I'd sent to them, and I fed it what they sent to me, and then you kind of say to it, "Ask me any questions." So it said, so it comes back and says, "Have the company got any terms and conditions?" So, oh yeah. So I found the terms and conditions for the photo shoots, which actually do say you must present yourself at the times stated in order to get it. But the interesting bit is the terms and conditions for the platinum, the diamond pass contradict it, because they just say you are guaranteed a photo and an autograph, nothing else. So AI, being a legal expert, said, yes, you have grounds to contest this because their terms and conditions contradict one another. So it wrote me a beautifully worded positive email that basically said the things that are out of my control was health and safety, parental responsibility supersedes the requirement to and was it sometimes it was parental responsibility for the safety of children in a health and safety situation supersedes the terms and conditions of your being present at all times, but also on-site staff decision making is not within my control, and if I presented myself and they stopped me entering the queue, that's not my fault, that's their fault. So I sent them a really nice worded email back before Christmas, not had a reply. But then it did take nearly a month for them to reply the first time, so we will wait and see what the second one. But it was written in a way that it kind of made out that I wasn't just a nerd, I was a nerd that may or may not have a legal background. So we'll see what they come back with. I'm not hopeful, and to be honest, I don't really care anymore, but it's the principle of the thing. I want something back other than just a blanket dismiss, kind of like we'll send you a reply, but we're dismissing what you say because of X. I want them to provide me with the evidence rather than just asking some rando. I want them to speak to, knowing full well they can't speak to the people because they're only volunteers and they will probably not remember. I want them to go back and get the evidence that they did what they said they were going to do and explain to me the decision making on the day. That's my third response is, okay, fair enough, but I'd like to clarify why were the decisions made they were done in the way they did it, and why were we not allowed to enter the queue when we came back and see what they say to that.
Yeah. And I think the biggest issue they've got is you have terms and conditions that contradict each other.
Yeah,
And your terms and conditions say you will get this item.
Yeah,
I
and
have
that's
presented
it.
myself. I have not received my item.
Yeah,
Provide me with my item, please.
yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I think the T's and C's are quite obviously there, and they are contradicting each other. So which one supersedes the other? It's not clear. They have to make it clear that you have to be there for the entire day in order to get a photo shoot, or you're guaranteed a photo. Which one is the two? And okay, if I didn't turn up at all, that's my fault. But I did, and you created a health and safety environment that was not safe for a young child. That ain't my fault. That is your fault. Anyway, so we shall see. So no, I've not had a refund. Do I think I'm going to get one? No. But I'll accept a voucher. I'll accept something like that. But I'm holding out for something.
It's email forward. Don't you know who I am?
Yeah, we're gonna keep. It's just going to go back and forth, and I'm just going to be really nice, but really pedantic with it. Yeah, and just keep pushing it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I can see from their point of view they don't want to get stung for refunds aplenty, but at the same time, you need to have a set of rules that are followed and adhered to, and if you make a mistake, you need to own up to it.
Yeah,
which they did. They oversold it, and because of the choices they'd made, it wasn't going to happen.
Well, they oversold it, and they didn't manage the situation, and that was the ultimate problem. Is yes, I made the decision to move away from it, but it was for their own safety rather than the need to get a photo.
Yeah, and like we said at the time, if it was you or I on our own, we would have chalked our elbows up and been in there.
And we would have stand fast, but you can't do that, and I think that's the challenge, and they either need to up their game or stop overselling.
Yes, that'll be one for 2025.
The battle continues.
Talking of which, what's our plan for 2025?
We've got Doctor Who whenever that happens.
Yeah.
I think there'll be more politics to come, won't there? Because Reform are now a more popular party in membership than the Conservatives as of 2 days ago. So there'll be something there. There's the inauguration and general circus that will happen on January 21st.
Yep.
And anything...
DJT2.
And there's quite a lot of films coming out for next year as well, in one shape or another. I was at the cinema today when I saw Sonic 3, which is highly recommended, and Captain America was getting rammed down our throats. We had like 3 trailers for it, one way or another. It's like, oh, bloody hell, they're really, really pushing this. I think, although, isn't it, it's had so many reshoots, its budget is now, I think it's nearing a 400 million or something.
What?
And it needs something like $1 billion to break even or something weird. It's crazy money they've thrown at it.
Mental. Absolutely mental. Well, so, any New Year's resolutions for 2025?
I don't know. Good question. Don't really do them, to be honest.
That makes 2 of us.
No. We could both say to be less grumpy and be more accepting of other TV shows, but that's never going to happen, is it? Because I'm only going to hit 2025 and get older, so it's not going to make any difference.
Yeah. 2025, the year where we just get grumpier and angrier and shout at more clouds. Yeah, I think for me, it's definitely going to be consider everything fully before I shout at the clouds.
You sleep on it. That kind of works, because like the Doctor Who thing, it's like I slept on it and I went, oh, actually, maybe it wasn't as good as I thought it was. Oh well.
Whereas I finish into him, what the fuck is this? Just garbage. I hate it. Oh boy. But hey, well, on that note, my love,
we'll say,
I think goodbye from 2024.
Yeah, and hello soon to 2025.
Yes. See you later.
Cheerio.